What's going on, people? Welcome to the live match reaction. Palace 0, Manchester United 0. We get another point, but still not got that win over in the Premier League. There's a lot to discuss in that game and more. The lines are already open, by the way. If you do want to call into the show, just click on the pinned comment and you can join us live via audio or video to have your say on the game. As you know, the first half comparison to the second half, different performance from Palace, some missed chances, also big saves as well. There's a lot to discuss. Make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy the stream and also subscribe if you are new to the channel and send in your comments throughout the show in the comment section and they'll be read out. I'll be also joined by Stein, who's just running a bit late to discuss that game in a bit more detail. But I'll quickly give my thoughts on the game and then go to the chat. Thank to everyone. Sorry about the delay as well, slight delay. I just changed the setup slightly, so took a bit of a while to get it going. There's already people calling into the show, so I'm gonna try be as quick as possible. Then we can have others say. It was a game of two halves, 100%. It was a game of two halves. When you look at the first half, you could say we were lucky. I can admit that we were lucky to probably go into halftime 0-0. It was kind of shocking from Palace as well. I mean, the tempo was just off in the first half. Normally, what we've seen on the glass and sides are, you know, if we are going to sit back, it's not like we're going to sit back and not attack at all. We are going to sit back with the game plan of trying to press them at right moments. But we gave too much respect to Manchester United in the first half. We just were off it. I'm looking at the body language from the players as well. I'm looking at, for example, you know, Gahey, he seemed frustrated, and all of the other players as well. It just wasn't working. And then they reached a certain point in the first half where we just had to hoof it long in goal kicks because we simply couldn't play out from the back. And then halftime comes in, and that is exactly where I expected a reaction. And Glasgow made a reaction by making the subs. The subs were the main reaction. And it made a difference. We spoke about it in the preview. Some of you lot have said it. I didn't agree with it personally. I didn't think he should start the game with Sarr, but some of you lot have said that Sarr should start this game ahead of Mateta. We had that discussion on the preview because of it. And Sarr did come on at halftime, and he had a positive impact. He had a very good impact on the game. So you know, second half was much better than the first half. Eze in the first half had a chance, and the second half that was the biggest chance. And I'll be honest, you have to take that chance. You have to take that chance. We didn't create a lot of chances. I'm not saying that, but it was a massive chance. It was not any other chance. It was a massive chance, which you just had to put in. You had to put in, and that was a disappointment. He didn't, and that all came from Sarr. It came from Sarr. So Sarr was a very good, I mean, it's going to be a very good talking point as well. I'm seeing a few people in the chat already saying next game without Mateta. So we'll be discussing that. And also, Walton gets subbed off at halftime. You can tell, look, when you're looking at this Palace side, especially the first half performance, you can tell this team is not 100% there yet. And with Walton, even when I was talking about the body language, he was one of those players which you might not catch on TV. I don't know if you went to the game as well, if you noticed it. But when I was looking at his first half performance and just watching him in particular, he wasn't walking properly. Like, you could tell that something was impacting him. That's what I noticed. So when he did get subbed off at halftime for Lerma, I don't know what you lot's reaction was, but I was okay with it because I kind of saw, even not just the performance, him off the ball as well, and kind of saw like he wasn't 100%. So both of the substitutions made sense. And maybe Lerma didn't have similar levels of impact as Sarr did, but it's good that we have a bench that we can rely on. And Henderson for me was man of the match. But we're going to go through the chat as well. There's a few people already, as I've said, calling in to the show. So I'm going to bring on the guests. Let's start off with Henry, who was at the game. Henry?
Right.
0-0. How are you feeling? 5 games unbeaten. I have to add, it doesn't feel like it, but 5 games unbeaten, but another game without a win in the Premier League.
Yeah, still winless. Strange game. I thought, you know, it's just two completely contrasting halves of football, wasn't it? God, that first half was one of the most difficult first halves I've had to watch in a long time. It sort of had like Roy vibes about it, the way that we just sort of were very camped in our own half, sat back and just really gave Man United a lot more time on the ball than we should have, and a lot more respect. It was almost like we were playing Man City. Like, that's how it sort of felt. But yeah, I think it took till like the 40th minute to have our first shot on target from Eze. How we have managed to avoid conceding in the first 40 minutes in the first half, I have absolutely no idea. I mean, Man United had a lot of very presentable chances. We have to be honest. We rode our luck. I think was it Garnacho who hit the post, or Fernandez who missed the rebound,
Yeah,
or
they had a
something like
few
that.
moments. Yeah, I think I know hit the post and Fernandez.
De
He
Ligt,
followed it up but missed it. Yeah.
yeah, and then De Ligt was at the back post completely unmarked. Free header, should have scored. I got to be honest. I was very concerned with the fact that our passing was very stray, and just our defending was like really, really off, and we just couldn't play out the back. Like, I mean, to be honest, it was very frustrating to watch because we were just getting these positions where we were just being penned in and just forced to either like knock it off the pitch or just play it up long to pretty much no one. And yeah, that was basically the first half, and then the second half was completely different because we looked a lot more sharper, a lot more composed on the ball, and then we started to find a lot more gaps in Man United. We played through the middle a lot more. I noticed. I think Lerma helps with that substitution. Looks a little bit questionable, but I mean, I wasn't furious with it. I mean, there was a few murmurs around me saying, "Oh, what's he doing, taking Wharton off?" But I
Did
didn't
you
think he had
understand it though?
I understood it, but I didn't think he was having the best game. To be honest, I think by his usual standards, he could have done, and he did look a bit leggy for me. So I think Lerma was a good balance. He offered a good balance to the team. Mateta, yeah, you know, I don't think Mateta had his best day today. I think actually Sarr brought a lot more to the match when he was brought on at halftime, which was good to see. I didn't really understand the sub to bring on Hughes for. Who did Hughes come on for? Go on.
Nketiah? No, was it the Nketiah one?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nketiah, yeah. I thought Nketiah was really good, actually. Like, I mean, in fact, just before he came off, I think he forced a really good save and we almost scored. So I didn't really understand that for me. But then again, I say that. I wouldn't be saying that if we'd have won 1-0, which arguably we probably should have won. Because, I'm sorry, but Eze missing that chance, it was just the simplest. Like, I really don't know how he didn't score. Like, I'm sorry, but he has to score that. Like, you have to. You cannot get a better chance than that, really. And it was good link up playing it, and you know that's the period in the game where we could have easily capitalised on. You know, the crowd. I thought the crowd was superb, by the way. I mean, the fans really. I thought as a fan base today, we were fantastic. We really made a lot of noise. But that was the chance. That was the period we had. That sort of 10, 15-minute period where we really had Man United. We really had them, and in that sense, it's a bit of a missed opportunity because it does put a lot of pressure on that Everton game next week. I mean, there's not a lot of goals and wins between us at Everton, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, the Everton game is going to be massive, of course. When you're looking at the Leicester game and what happened there, that was disappointment. So there's going to be a lot of pressure in that game. But when you're looking at the second half, I get what you mean by Eze's missed chances, and I 100% agree that he should have done better in that moment. But it was encouraging the fact that we got into those positions in the second half, which we couldn't up until the last three minutes of the first half. It was absolutely the first half. I'll be honest, I don't know about you, but I thought the first half was our worst half of football.
It was torture. It was absolute torture.
I can't remember a worse half than that.
I mean, honestly, D, it was turgid. Like it was just really grueling and draining to watch. Like literally, it was just I was counting the minutes gone. I was like, yep, survived another minute. Can we make it to this minute? Oh yeah, we got made to. You know what I mean? It was very, very like laborious just to watch all that unfold. Like, but I think you're right though. I think you can tell this is a team that is still trying to work out like how to play together. because I think it is an improvement. It's an improvement in terms of I think they are learning how to form a partnership, like the back three. Sorry, I think the Kra had a pretty solid game. I thought.
Yeah, I think he's growing into that role.
Yeah, I think Kamada was okay. I mean, I did sort of think he was put in a lot of positions where he didn't really have much support around him. Like and at times it was like, well, where is he actually playing on the pitch? Because like once when he was on the wing, and then he was in the middle, and then he was like more forward, and it was like, it was a bit confusing. But yeah, I thought. I mean, we just need to. It's just simply a case of just being more clinical. Like we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been saying it for a few weeks now. Like, it's not like we don't create any chances. It's just about, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, I mean, luckily today we didn't concede, so we got a point. But ultimately, that's the name of the game, isn't it? So we've got to do better in that department.
We kept the clean sheet. And we've been talking about the defense being leaky. So that was a positive, even though I know United create chances in the first half, but that'll be a morale boost going into the Everton game. But look, Henry, thank you for coming on. And hopefully it's a bit better in terms of the result against Everton, because that's
I hope so. I'm actually going to go up there. So I'm going to go to see the game. So I hope it'll be hopefully at the first win. But yeah,
let's see. Thank you for coming on, Henry.
Cheers, man.
That was Henry having to say. If you want to join the show live, you can click on the pinned comment to join us to have your say on the game. As always, if you are enjoying the stream, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you are new to the channel, it helps us out massively. Let's bring on Stan, who was running a bit late.
Hello, mate. Sorry, Matt. I'm good.
No, that's fine. You know what? I don't want to make people wait. Let's just bring on Tim. He was doing a live watch along today. He's been waiting as well. Tim,
what's going on, Tim? You all right, mate?
Hey, doing all right. I love this, Stan. We're all matched up here. Got my coffee cup. Yeah. Like it.
I've got the Boston Red Sox hat as well, the red and blue.
I can't do that. I'm originally from New York, so
okay.
I'm not having the Sox, but no. Look, you know what I don't get? Maybe I'm missing it. Will you guys tell me what you saw? I don't think Kamada is a natural 6. I don't think he's anywhere near his best at the 6, but I thought he was better today in that role versus what he's been.
So Tim, my first comment was going to be that Oliver Glasner, I love him. I think he's a brilliant manager, and I think he will do amazing stuff for us. He has got to stop this Daichi Kamada experiment in all these weird positions. Okay, like it's doing no good to the team. It's doing no good to the player. And Daichi Kamada at the moment is a 10 off the bench. That's it. He's too lightweight to play in a Premier League midfield, and you've got 2 Premier League midfielders on the bench. Like that could have cost us dearly the first half, because we were bad the first half. Really,
we were shocking.
I've seen Sunday League teams play better than we did.
I mean, we should have been down, like 2-0. We should have been down and it'll be interesting to. I mean, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on it, but here in the States, the US, the ESPN meltdown will be absolutely epic for all the Man United fans. But I kind of get it, because they should have been 2-0 up. I mean, we were terrible that first half. I can't disagree with that, Stan. I mean, I think he is best in the 10, and I do think he'd be better off the bench. I think that Ismail Yassar has earned a start, and I think the only combination with Eddie Nketiah that I've seen that really seems to work so far, him and Ebbs have not come off yet, but him and Sarr look kind of interesting. And with Sarr playing up top,
Ebbs and Sarr?
No, Eddie and Sarr.
Eddie and Sarr. Okay, interesting. Okay.
I mean, I thought that was kind of interesting. But overall, look, I think he has earned the right to either. I think he should start versus Everton. Where he starts, I think is, that's a question for Glasner. But I mean, I think JP looks leggy. He did not have anywhere near his best game. He was off it.
We got whipped at half time. So, and he was,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, but they cut to the dugout and he was fuming. Like, he did not look a happy bunny, man.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He
didn't. I mean, I can't tell whether or not that was nerves or just like upset, but he didn't look, he wasn't looking great, D. I mean, but Sarr is dynamic. He looks good. I would say versus Everton, I think this feels like the right match to start Hughes and Lerma aside each other in defensive midfield, Sarr up top, Eddie and Ebbs, and let's see what happens, because I think Hughesy comes on and plays solid. He's been
the problem you've got with Hughes is that he took another stupid booking again today. Like, there was no need. Like, Lerma was coming in and covering him.
Yeah,
he just got a ridiculous booking in him every single game. Not knocking him, he was really good when he came on today. I thought he was good. He gave us so much more. But
yeah, I get it, but I thought that booking was harsh, Stan. Like, what's he gonna do? He's not gonna get out. I mean, he can't. I know he knows what he's doing there, like stopping the attack. But
six or one half. He's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because
I know
if you go, like, if he lets him go and the guy, Lerma doesn't cover him in time, and the guy goes halfway up the field and puts one in the box, and then Rasmus Højlund heads it in, then we're going to be like, why didn't you bring him down, Hughes? Do you know what I mean? So no, I get it for sure. I get it.
Yeah. So it's a yellow. I get that it's a yellow. Felt a little harsh, but whatever. I mean, but yeah, that's a fair point. I would be interested to see it. I wonder what we take out of this. Like, I'll be curious to hear Glasner's comments, because it sounds like he did not give glowing reviews to the team, which to me feels good. Like, I like that we have an honest manager. Thank God we have an honest manager now. So that's a good thing. Do you take the positive and say, like, Hendo was unbelievable and we get the point and we finally get a clean sheet, because we've had, the only other one was Norwich. So we finally get a clean sheet, and that is something you can build on? Or is it like, that was terrible and we're suffering?
You know what I say to him? I think the first half was terrible, but you have to give credit where credit's due. Firstly, you got to give credit to Oliver Glasner, because
I agree.
Previous regimes would not have changed that at half-time, okay?
1,000,000%.
And previous regimes, were, like I said, would have had us 2 or 3-0 out of sight. We'd have been 2 or 3-0 down at that game over. Yep. So he changed it at half-time. I must question why he kept Kamada on for so long in a central midfield spot. Firstly, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going for Kamada either, but he's just like, he's proved so that's what you got to look at. In my opinion, second half, United were there for the taking. Am I really disappointed that we didn't win? Not really, because of the first half performance. Getting a point is massive, to be honest. And it is still Man United. They still have spent way more money than we could ever spend. And
that's a fact.
And listen, I think Lacroix second half, he grew into the game, and you saw the Lacroix that you're probably gonna maybe see now for between now and the rest of the season. He commanded well. He won the headers. And if you look, like, even when he won his header on the halfway line, he quickly, like, the direction of his headers, he like quickly laid it to one player, laid it to another. Like, you can see there's a good player in there, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas in the first half, I mean, he was nowhere near it, right?
No, hopefully he's getting, this. I thought the back line in the second half, to that point, Stan, did look like they were far better. There's a little bit more chemistry there, and both on the left and on the right, those center backs were pushing higher and creating interceptions, creating turnovers very high up. Richards did it multiple times. Lacroix did it multiple times. It was nice to see, and that's because Mark looked way better. Mark looked a lot better in this game.
Exactly. We
particularly in
kept
the
the clean
second half.
sheet. We kept the clean sheet, which was a massive positive today because the defense has been kind of letting us down for the start of the season.
Totally,
it's been a real question mark saying what is wrong with our defense. And I know at times we were lucky, but we managed to keep that clean sheet. Just quickly, thank you, Sam, for the super chat saying, I'm positive, had good chances and keep a clean sheet as well. Thank you as always for the super chat. But if you do want to support the channel, you can also hit the like button, subscribe as well, people. That helps us out massively. And also the link is posted. So if you do want to join and have your say after Tim, feel free to click on that link and we'll have you on next. But I just want to quickly touch on the Sarr and Mateta conversations. I didn't see Mateta's reaction. I thought maybe he subbed off Mateta because of the fatigue levels, and there were a lot of people, as I said, we had that discussion in preview, and a lot of people were saying when I asked a question on Twitter, who would you start ahead of, and a lot of people did say Mateta. But do we realistically see Glasner starting Sarr after the second half performance in the Everton game? After still going with Mateta in this one from the get-go.
This is how I would see it. I'd be curious what you think, Stan. I don't think it has anything to do other than Mateta looks tired. He looks exhausted. He's it's not, and plus, maybe this is the other thing, with Nketiah and Mateta, they've not really figured out how to get some real chemistry between those two strikers. This is not righty and brighty. That's not happening right now.
It's far too early to say whether they figured it out or not. Mateta, they've had 2 league games and a game in the cup. I think the problem with Mateta is, Tim, I think what you've got to look at is he was used to just getting that ball played into him to feet in behind.
Sure.
And no one's doing that, man. There's no until Sarr comes on, there's no threat down the right for us. There's no threat. Munoz looks cooked. He looks so tired. I think he actually had an okay game today, to be honest with you, but he's so tired. And I just think Mateta's not getting the service. I would say Nketiah was bad today. He wasn't good. I'm not going to judge him for it. But some of his giveaways, etc., he just was not at the races today. He was very poor.
So this is the question, D. Getting back to your question, do you start Sarr in a 9? You let Eddie play the right side at 10. You let Ebbs play the left side at 10. Or if you are going to rest Mateta, do you let Eddie start in the 9? You play Sarr in the right side at 10. I think that's a luxury problem that, the fact that you can even think about that is a nice problem to have for Glasner. I think the main thing I'm curious about, and whether or not Glasner will do it, for me, the most threatening player in these first several games, the most threatening player, the one that other than Ebbs, and Ebbs has been a little bit inconsistent, but he gets goals, no question. And Mateta has gotten some goals, but in terms of just pure big chance creation and real threat scaring opposing back lines, it's got to be Ismaila Sarr. He is dynamic, and he adds something to the team that I think is very useful. So I would love to just see what that looks like versus Everton. I just want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, well, maybe Glasner wants to see that as well. Only time will tell, because he did surprise me today by subbing off Mateta at halftime. Wharton wasn't as much of a surprise to me because I was watching Wharton in particular, and something did seem off in terms of potential injury. So hopefully nothing is serious. I'm going to try to find out Glasner's comments in just a few minutes time. By the way, people, if you are enjoying the stream, if you could hit the like button, that'll be much appreciated. It's about nearly 140, 150 of you watching it live, and a lot of you will be watching on replay. Nice. It takes a second of your time. So thank you for that. Let's quickly mention, I know we haven't really spoke about refereeing decisions ever since the Brentford game, but Martinez went in 2 foot.
Yeah, what the hell was that? So say more about that, because that was Say more about that.
The fact VAR didn't even take a look at it properly. That is a red card, and he touches the ball. But if you touch the player, you break his leg.
I mean, right. So what are they looking at? What is that?
Yeah, I look, for me, it's gone from one extreme to the other. Before, there were two involved, VAR, trying to micro-analyze every bit of the game in slow motion. So that was a problem. But this season, it's gone ridiculous. It's gone to the other end where they're watching it like a fan. They're not really doing much. They're doing nothing. I don't know what VAR is doing, even in the West Ham versus Chelsea game today. I mean, that could have been easily a penalty for West Ham, but they were just watching. Yeah. I don't even understand. Is there even a point of having VAR anymore if they're not going to intervene in moments like that? Like, he literally jumped with 2 foot.
Yeah.
If he caught the player, that could have been it. That could have been it. I don't understand. What is he doing? What's going through his head to jump like that?
I mean, he went
ridiculous.
He's a rat, though, man. He's a proper rat, that guy.
Well, he went full Roy Keane. That's what he did. He went full Roy Keane, double, with the double stamp. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about. I don't know, man. I think there was some inconsistent refereeing there. It's terrible, but it doesn't excuse anything. The first half for us was still absolutely dreadful, but the second half, I don't know. Maybe I'll end on this because I know we got other people coming on, and I've got to let you go. But I don't know what else Glasner needs to see in order to try Sarr as a dynamic starter, because every time he has come on, he's changed the game for the better for Palace this season. He's been the most effective X factor, and so I would like to see more of him. So let's see.
Look, I was one of those saying no in this game. I wouldn't start Sarr, but I'm seeing more of a case for those that have been saying it, and we'll talk about it in the match preview. But look, Tim, I'll catch up with you anyway.
Oh, it's great to see you.
Last one, Tim. Great to see you.
And we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Take care, guys. Up the Palace.
Up the Palace. Let's bring on. We're going to be bringing on Luke next. But if you do want to join the show live, you can click on the pinned comment to have your say on the game. Let's bring on Luke.
Hello.
0-0. It's been a while. How are you?
How you doing, Luke?
Yeah, all good. Compared to last season, yes, we're miles off. But in terms of result tonight, probably we would have taken out at the start.
Yeah. What do you think it was?
What do I think it was? I think we're slow. We're so slow coming out from the back. And in terms of coming out the back, I think we might be regretting Henderson.
Okay, Luke, I'm going to interrupt you there. You got to forget about these former players. We have to. All I'm hearing is Olise Anderson. They are not the sole reason that we were good at the end of last year. They're not. It's not just two players. One swallow don't make a summer. Do you know what I mean? I'm not buying that. The one thing I will say, coming back to you though, is what I've realised is, where has our high press gone? Because it's been non-existent all year. And that's a big change in how we used to play. That high press is not there anymore.
Do you think, can I quickly just jump in? Do you think that high press, even today, the press today, I thought was off? We gave too much time and respect to Manchester United. Do you think, Luke, that is down to player fatigue? As we saw at halftime, Walton came off, Mateta came off. Do you think it's just not having these players at 100%? Is that why, off the ball, maybe we're not as energized as we were towards the end of last season?
I think we're blown out. I think from last season. Maybe too many games. Sorry,
Yeah, look, I mean, last season we played fantastically, and there's a lot of expectations from it. But I don't think it's really blowing up from last season, in my opinion. I just feel like the preseason, the lack of preseason by some of these players because of the international competitions, as well as the injury that's been ongoing for the likes of Walton, etc. I think what's played a key part to it, and that's why we have started slow in terms of not picking up any wins. But looking ahead to the next game, Luke, against Everton, how big is that game for you?
It's the last trip to Goodison Park, so maybe we could get 3 points there. Hopefully.
Yeah, but in terms of importance,
yeah, definitely. Because if we don't win there, then I think we're in the drop zone.
yeah. I mean, yeah, especially if they win as well. But look, Luke, thank you for coming on. Hopefully, we catch up with you again soon.
Nice one, mate. Thank you,
bye-bye.
Luke.
Take care. Yeah, I mean, next week is going to be interesting against Everton. Another massive game, especially.
You know what? Our record up there is shocking as well, but we have to win now. Like, we have to win it.
It is. By the way, people, if you do want to call into the show, feel free to click on the pinned comment. You'll be up next. Stan, I did ask the question to Luke about, the press and maybe the energy's being off. But what do you think it is? Because in the first half, it was just too slow. And it wasn't like Glasner's Palace.
I'm telling you, he's got to stop experimenting with these players in this position. That, like, this is not the time anymore to be experimenting. Like, he should have an idea.
In particular.
Listen, I don't want to have him as a scapegoat, but Daichi Kamada is not holding central mid. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, he was getting out-muscled, out-bullied. He couldn't string a pass together. It was bad. It was really, really bad. But
it wasn't just Kamada, was it, though, in the first half?
Wharton wasn't great either. The midfield just wasn't working, but it was really, really bad. And it doesn't help him. Like, the manager's not helping him. I'm not making a comparison at all, but he's so stubborn with his Daichi Kamada. Do you remember when Roy just kept playing Will Hughes as a number 10 and it just didn't work? I just hope that we realise things a little bit sooner this time, because we need, what's it called? Yeah. Listen, I think we need more energy in the side. I think we need, and I think, I don't know where this press has gone, mate. Other clubs had players at tournaments that went far in tournaments. They've also had cup games. They also don't have massive squads. And some of them, not all of them, but some of them are doing a lot better than Palace. So we can't keep using that excuse. Like, we got to get it right, man.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about other teams also had players in major tournaments, and that is maybe why it is confusing. I don't have the numbers in particular in terms of what teams, how many players went international tournaments, etc. Because even for big sides like Tottenham, they've been struggling at the start of the season, and they didn't have. Well, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but for example, Maddison wasn't there, and he's a key player. Solanke wasn't there as well. So yeah, it is a bit confusing. But for me, I do think it's more down to fatigue. I think Kamada isn't a midfielder. I don't think he's a midfielder as a number 6. I've said it even today before the lineup. When looking at the lineup, that was the main thing that stood out. The fact that he picked Kamada once again in midfield, and it is an attacking option, but the problem with Kamada, especially when you're playing in with a 2-man midfield, is that you're relying on him to do the defensive duties, which is not known for. Whereas as the number 10, you can get away with it a bit more. So at Everton, it's going to be a very physical game. Personally, I think he needs to drop Kamada playing in midfield.
Yeah.
Probably drop Kamada overall. Because I was actually surprised by him taking off Nketiah and keeping Kamada on the pitch.
I think Nketiah, you've got to manage his minutes though, D, because he's not played 90 minutes a lot at all. So you've got to manage his minutes, right? I think, listen, Everton, I think he needs to play, Decore is not going to be back, right? But he either plays Wharton and Lerma or Wharton and Hughes. Maybe Wharton's injured. We don't know, right? So we'll have to see. But
I think he's injured. Let me try to find Glasner's comments. But before I do, I'll post a link once again. So if people do want to join whilst I'm sorting out the comments from Glasner, feel free to do so. As always, send in your comments as well. Just quickly, Stan. Dean Henderson.
Yes, sir.
There's been a lot of eyes on him ever since he joined Palace. But today, without him, we're leaving there with absolutely nothing.
It could be 3 or 4-0 defeat.
Yeah, massive saves, massive saves. Is it growing on you in terms of confidence? Because I know you was one. He was one where you wasn't as confident in him, but is it now change? Are you a bit more confident or?
Okay, so Dean Henderson, as he was today, is an excellent goalkeeper. Okay, my problem with Hendo is, and I don't want to take today's performance away from him because he was man of the match by a long, long way, is the way that he is his distribution and the way that he commands his area. And sometimes he's too far back in his box when he could be on the edge, and he's not sweeping it up, and he's not coming for crosses. He's not confident. Today, when he was coming for crosses, when he was confident, they got a couple of big lads United as well. So he shouldn't have a problem doing it against, the rougher teams as well. Yeah, I think he's growing on me. He's not the issue our biggest issue that we have, even if he has a bad game. Do you know what I mean? Like he's hardly cost us wins this season, has he? Like he's not Dean Henderson. In fact, if it wasn't for him, we'd have 2 less points than what we already have.
Yeah.
So,
let's go through some of the comments from Glasner. Let's start off with his thoughts at halftime. He said that there were some clear words at halftime, and we switched the mindset. We went more direct to the goal and much more compact. That first half was a joke. It was an absolute joke. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. But interesting that he got onto the players at halftime, and he did make the 2 subs as well to back up his talk, which was positive to see. Shannon saying, "I wonder if Oliver Glasner is persisting with Kamada to justifying pushing to sign him. I just wish he was persistent in playing him where he's comfortable." The problem with that is, let's say he was playing as a number 10, then that would mean you drop Nketiah, which I don't think Nketiah deserves to get dropped. I don't think Kamada's, I think Kamada has to kind of prove himself coming off the bench right now as a number 10. So that's my opinion anyways. I mean, saying Hendo was man of the match, but even in this game had some poor distribution. Yeah, I thought his distribution wasn't great. It wasn't great, but even our movements, I was watching the game, I was thinking about it. The width that we have in the side is by the wing backs. But how many times especially in the first half, how many times did Munoz and Mitchell get on the ball in decent positions in the final third? As the game went on, Mitchell was a bit more attacking, but in the first half, we just didn't have the width, and that's a problem. And I won't be surprised because the system works right now, but I won't be surprised if he changes to a back 4 at some point this season, because we have seen it in games. But you think he's got the players to go back 4 though? Like you think you've got Munoz that can just go out? He can play as an out and out fullback. I don't know, man. I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Why not?
Munoz is a wing back for me, but yeah.
But I mean, we haven't really seen him play in the back 4. I think he can defend as well as attack. Munoz can play in the back 4. That's what I think, anyways. But let us know what you think in the chat. Hendo man of the match. Tim's agreeing with you, saying his distribution so far this season is nowhere near. It was at the end of last season, but I think it's been big for us. 100% agree. Kamada, bad performance, broke the confidence of Wharton, affecting the team, making us cautious. A lot of eyes on Kamada. Ever since he signed for us. Demi saying maybe why I saw always a late sub, not Glasner signing yet only one with any pace. Today he was an early sub. I mean, he came on at halftime, which was pretty telling. And yeah, he does play right back for Colombia.
Okay.
Any other comments? Let's see. Kamada as a CM shackles Wharton from trying to play forward like he did last season. Are we focusing too much on Kamada? A lot of people are getting onto Kamada, but like, does Kamada stop this team that much? Can we not look at other players as well that weren't at the levels?
Listen, I think before
Mateta got subbed off, Eze missed big chances.
He missed massive chances. Sam missed 2 big chances as well. Like he did.
So why is the talk just on Kamada then?
I think there's a lot of pressure on him because he's a Europa League winner. He was probably the first attacking player we signed after Elise. I will say this, that Kamada frustrates the hell out of me because his strength just isn't there. Do you know what I mean? Like he just doesn't have it. I think I'm stronger than him. I'm 40 years old, man. I think I'm stronger than him. I'm 40 years old, but But again, I keep saying, stop experimenting with him. Like, you're going to fall on your sword if you keep experimenting with this guy. You know, like, play a team that's going to go out there and press high and take the game by the scruff of the neck. Kamada is, at the moment, he is only the guy that will come off the bench and make an impact that way as a 10. Otherwise, no.
Yeah. Let's bring on the next guest of the evening. Am I pronouncing this right? The first?
Yeah, it kind of works. I thought the game was an improvement on terms of kind of Leicester, where we felt really disjointed, whereas we actually felt a bit more like a team playing a bit more fluidly. In terms of Kamada, I think probably you want to see him in kind of like the slot kind of role out on the side, where you can kind of bring him in to kind of change things, where in slot situation you bring him in if you want to take Eze off to be a bit more defensive, or with Mitchell where you want to take him off and be a bit more attacking in terms of that sort of a side of things. But you do it on the sort of you do it on the other side of the pitch, so that you can kind of either come in and attack with like a SAR situation, so you can come in and try to come back in those sort of situations, or because he can be quite tenacious, even if he's sometimes sloppy, he can be quite useful when you're trying to sort of defend that pretty well. Dean Henderson, obviously man of the match, great. SAR, I thought, brought a lot of energy compared to Mateta, who I think ended up being really tired when it came to the end of the first half, and so I thought it was really good to kind of change him there. And I don't really mind if for the last 5 minutes or so you take off Eze to bring on Slut to try to make sure that you're going to keep that draw. Overall, it seemed like we gelled a bit more. I think the back five seemed to kind of work quite well, particularly when you're working with Wharton with the groin injury, when you're working with Kamada, who you're probably not going to have as your sort of best defensive midfielder. Yet you want your Lermas, you want your Doucourés, you might even want an Ozo kind of there. You're not really going to want Kamada to really be your top one. But if you're going to put him there, then it's right to have the kind of back five so that you can kind of deal with if something sloppy happens, if we end up being not properly kind of like you saw in previous games this season, where having Kamada in that kind of defensive role meant that we weren't balanced properly, and so you could kind of make sure that you had defence to kind of handle that. I don't know the fan who I kind of sits by in the lower end of the Arthur Way were finding that well, they were kind of expecting last season, right? Because we beat Manchester United 4-0, and so a 0-0 kind of felt very different. But again, if you compare kind of Elise to kind of Zaha, when in previous seasons when we had Zaha and we didn't have Zaha, it was a very different situation in terms of how we kind of played and how well we were able to kind of win. And it kind of feels the same way in terms of the Elise side that we had last season, and then like the lack of Elise side. And I think expectations have probably got to come down from where they were sort of previously going to be. But I think whereas when you're looking at Leicester, where coming down from a 2-0, when you're looking at West Ham earlier in that season, where actually I was sort of a bit concerned that actually we were going to plummet really well, pretty far, I'm actually not too concerned now because I think we're gelling a bit more as a team. Obviously, we want to see against better opposition than Manchester United, but
so Defes, you think based on the second half we're gelling better as a team? Because that first half performance, there was no gel there. We didn't even have any hair gel, mate, let alone gel as a team. Do you know what I mean? So, but
sure, but I think compared to the Leicester game where we really weren't gelling, I agree with you. We weren't like hair gelling particularly well. But I think that compared to the previous performances, where I really don't think we gelled particularly well. Now, maybe that's a question about, the defence being all higgledy-piggledy and not necessarily kind of those relationships together. But I felt we kind of put in. Now, I think gelling, again, also worked with the questions around pace because Sarr is much faster. He's actually able to kind of press in a way that Mateta actually isn't. There were situations in the first half with Mateta and him just not being at the paces to kind of because Onana was sort of sitting on the ball, waiting around, possibly time wasting, and actually with somebody who had the pace to kind of go at him, we could actually kind of put press a bit more. But again, a lot of the players have kind of playing the minutes they've been playing with the Olympics, or they've been playing Copa America, and so you see them a lot of the time, or you see them with the groin injury. You see, we've got players that we'd actually want to be on the first team out an injury. So I agree with you that there's a lot more sort of blending and gelling to kind of do, but actually it doesn't look to me like the situation where we were 2-0 down with Leicester City in the last sort of home game. It sort of looks coherent, even if it's not as coherent as we would want it to be.
I think we battered Leicester. We just made 2 mistakes and couldn't put the ball in the back of the net.
Does the opponent not matter as well in terms of context? Because I agree. In terms of the second half, I think the second half was an improvement, but we faced a better side in United than we did against Leicester, and we still created chances. So, yeah, we did. We kind of dominated Leicester, and we didn't put away our chances. But I get where you're coming from in terms of the cohesion in the team slowly getting there, especially with the subs as well. But today, I just want to give a quick mention to Lacroix. I wonder what you made of his game, but I feel like he's growing in this Palace side, especially from his debut, funny enough, against Leicester, which he was a bit maybe shaky in the first half, trying to adapt. And then second half, he played down the right-hand side, improved in the QPR game. It was another game for him. And today against Manchester United, against some quality players, he looked decent, especially in the second half.
Well, again, I think that his passing is sort of on the same sort of wavelength that I sort of see Richards kind of do, and do these kind of nice sort of forward passes. Again, I think coming into the Premier League, coming into a much sort of quicker sort of game than you would sort of expect in other sort of leagues, I think there was seemed to be in his first game sort of an adjustment that you need kind of to make there. But I think he did a lot better than what I saw with Riyadh. When Riyadh came in the first game, he was very sort of slow, not really able to kind of get there. And I think when you have LaCroix kind of come in and sort of actually, as I said, like you would see out of Chris Richards. And actually, I think Chris Richards is doing a pretty reasonable job, able to kind of head out, able to kind of sort of act like we would have wanted in terms of an Anderson, in terms of kind of being able to clear the ball. And I think LaCroix is actually able to kind of do some of those more advanced passes that we kind of want to from our defenders to be able to kind of progress that game. So I think LaCroix sort of seems to be on a kind of Chris Richards kind of level, and I think he's a perfect person. He's perfectly acceptable to have on the team. Whereas there are still questions about whether or not Riyadh is up to the scratch we want in the team. I think it's I think Sarr certainly has been pretty good. I think Nketiah, even though I've heard some situations where he's apparently told to come a bit bad, I think that for me he looks, in terms of the way that he plays, more like a Balassi kind of type. And again, what we saw with Balassi is that he had the ability to do skill, but he also was unpredictable in terms of what you can kind of get out of him. So sometimes you can see the great things with Spurs and be able to kind of flick off players. And sometimes you couldn't do. Now, partly that's maybe why he's a Palace player rather than an Arsenal player. But he seems to be kind of doing pretty well compared to what we might expect out of our other Eddie, right? In terms of the Eddie that we got back, in part because our former Eddie is the kind of same physical type as we would have with Mateta. And so the defenses only have to sort of plan against one sort of attack. Whereas if you've got going back to 10 years, where you would have had sort of Dwight Gale and Glenn Murray, where you could have that kind of alternating ability so that defenses wouldn't actually sort of understand or wouldn't be able to kind of just plan against one sort of attack. Having the ability there to kind of mix things up, to have a go. And again, if one sort of thing doesn't work against a team, you can try something. In both cases, I think that's all right.
Yeah, looking ahead to the next game now against Everton, how big is that for you? 5 games unbeaten now, but it's a game where if we're looking at a win, surely it will be against Everton side that's just lacking confidence. They're bottom, I think.
Well, again, if we look at kind of Chelsea, if we look at Leicester, if we look at today, we've done really well in that second half. And what we've seen from Everton, at least from what I can see, is that they really do badly in that second half. Right? They're just going to concede goals in the 80th minute, the 90th minute, and the 90th plus 6 minute. And that seems to sort of stretch in terms of the way that we are sort of gearing up in terms of seeming to do a better second half than the first half, and also in terms of the depth we've now got under Glasner, where we can change into a slot, we can change into a bunch of players that can then give us the oomph to go in the last 10, 15 minutes where Everton are just going to fold. Because we've seen that again and again and again and again. Maybe that doesn't mean that we win 3-2 or something, but it gives us the idea that we are playing in a way that seems to sort of suit the weaknesses that Everton are having in terms of being able to go to that 95th minute or the 96th minute. Pardon me. So moving forward, they're just not having that stamina to kind of get them over the line. And that's why, again, they're only getting maybe like 1 point. If I seem to recall correctly, they conceded late on in that game against Leicester to kind of come out the draw. So again, a similar situation. I think that as long as you can make sure that even if you don't think it's going to be a great first half, you're good enough so that then you're the better second half where you're able to do the substitutions, bring on players that you think are going to be able to change the game in a way that we've seen Glasner be able to do. Again, we could talk about 3-1 in Burnley last year and how he kind of demonstrated an improvement from Vieira. But actually, sort of in this game, I think that the substitution made at half time, again, injected pace into our side to be able to kind of do it. And again, when we were able to make further changes, I think that also helped. So I'm more encouraged that in the area of the game where Everton see their weakness, which seems to be their sort of end game from the 80th minute onwards, we seem to be able to have the tactical capability and the players to be able to push on and to be able to exploit that disadvantages that they seem to have.
Yeah. Look, great talking to you today. Great call as well. Make sure to call in future shows.
All right. Well, see what I can do.
Nice one, mate.
All right, then. Take care, mate. See you later.
Thanks. Bye. That was the energy we all needed there, mate.
Yep. That is. Let's go through some of the questions before we do wrap up. Munoz can't possibly go on like this. What are we going to do? Well, the plan is to rest him tomorrow and Monday.
Can I give one player a shout out? Actually, before I do that, I would say that Lacroix, I don't agree with previous caller Defers that he's just okay to have in the team. Like he showed after sort of 55 minutes today, I think he showed how good he can actually be. Like he owned that Man United attack. Like he was very, very good. I want to give a shout out to Tyreek Mitchell because he gets a lot of heat from a lot of Palace fans that he's not this, he's not that. And I'm always going to defend my boy Tyreek. So he is consistently a 6 or 7 out of 10 performer. I thought he was excellent today. And in that attacking fullback role on the left, he's improved with every single game. And he was really good today. Like he was picking it up, he was distributing. He like Glasner has absolutely like pushed him on another level. So big shout out to Tyreek. I thought he was really good today.
Yeah, just on the question, I'm going to bring up again. Once again, if you're enjoying the stream, please hit the like button, people. Thank you to all of you that have already done that. It takes a second of your time. And if you're enjoying the stream, it's much appreciated. We can't really put Munoz on the bench because the drop-off is Nathaniel Klein. So, yeah, I mean, he just has to rest. And hopefully at one point he'll reach 100% fitness. But that's a problem with even Mitchell as well. You can't really change Mitchell because who are you going to be starting in that position? We're lacking proper depth there. And I think that's the next area that we need to be targeting going forward. The wing-back depths, which is missing and has been missing. When is Chalobah coming back? Chalobah should be coming back for the Everton game, as well as Franca, which should be interesting.
Be on the bench, I think.
You know
Frankie
what? We'll be
might.
talking about it in the preview. So we'll save that chat for them because that'll be a good discussion point, especially how Richard played today. Jordan saying, should Max play in the center, Mark on the left, and Chris on the right, seeing that the whole right-hand side has no chemistry at the moment. 3 players that haven't built up an understanding at all. I wouldn't change it about. I think Maxence has played well on the right-hand side. The only way you build chemistry is by playing him there. So, there might be hiccups along the way, but I think today was impressive, especially in the second half as well. We saw.
I think the back line is fine. Sorry to interrupt you, D, but I think the back line is fine. I think it's the midfield that they need to sort out. The midfield and like the 10s or the wingers or whatever, like that, they need to sort that out. The back line is actually okay.
Yeah. Twist is saying, D, do you still have total faith in Glasner? Yes, I do. And the reason why I do have faith is because when you're looking at the situation, it is understandable why we are in this situation, especially with players coming back late. I mean, today, Wharton and Mateta couldn't play 90 minutes. Well, Wharton couldn't anyways. Mateta, that might have been a tactical sub. And this has been an ongoing issue. It's been a frustrating start, but then again, it's not like we've lost every single game. We're through to the next round of the cup. 5 games unbeaten. We just have to turn these draws into wins. It could be much worse as well. And this game wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great game. But those hiccups that we're having right now is because, with the new signings and the team actually settling, it's only been 3 games technically ever since the international break. So it's not like we played 15, 20 games with Nketiah, Lacroix inside. Even Chalobah hasn't played, Kamada, etc. And it's going bad. Like we're not far off. We win a game, we go up, I think up to 12th, potentially 13th. Like it's still very early on in the season.
I think it kickstarts your season, right? That's what I'm saying. Like next game, like I know people are going to be like, "It's massive." It's this. Listen, it's really. I wouldn't say it's like massive, defining, etc., etc. But it's a really important game because it's the game that gives us a potential opportunity to kickstart our season and maybe push on a little bit. Just going back to your point with regards to Glasner, I think we have to have total faith in Glasner because he's a Europa League winning manager and he's been there and he's done it. I know he didn't do it in the Prem, he's done it in the Bundesliga, but I think he's an excellent manager. I just will repeat my stance again that he has got to stop doing these Daichi Kamada experiments because he's going to ruin a really good thing if he keeps doing it. That's all I'm going to say. Like, please, because he's a fantastic manager. Like, please, 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 please. Yeah.
Just quickly, Dean Henderson spoke after to Sky Sports, and he said the following about the game. He said that it is tiring when you concentrate like that for the whole half. So yeah, sitting back and just soaking up all the pressure, it takes a bit more fatigue on the players as well. So I think I'm expecting hopefully a bounce against Everton, and finally we can get a win. Last few questions before we do wrap up, people. If there are any questions, I'm not going to even answer that, Callum, about Lopetegui before the West Ham fans get emotional about it.
What's that?
All I'm saying is I'm very happy that we didn't sign him as a manager. Lopetegui.
Oh, Spanish Roy Hodgson, yeah.
Spanish David Moyes, Spanish Roy Hodgson, depending on how you call it. But yeah. And look, this is a good question, but these questions are popping up for a reason, and that is the problem. So far this season, it has been frustrating, but it's the squad. We're not 100% fit yet. And Shannon's saying, do we rest Wharton and give him the chance to rest and recover from whatever knock he has and put faith in our depth? What do you think, Stan? Because today he couldn't play 90 minutes. It's been an ongoing issue. Ahead of this game, Glasner did say he was fit. I don't know if there was like a flare-up at any point of the game, and maybe he was fit beforehand. But the midfield, we haven't had the Decore Wharton fit midfield all season long. All season. Even when they've played, Wharton still was 100% in that in the Chelsea game. So it's frustrating. In the Leicester game, Decore goes out injured. Like the midfield has been annoying to watch because they just can't stay fit.
I think we need to chill with Adam Wharton. He's 20 years old. He's gone from playing regularly for a bang average championship team, Blackburn Rovers, to being catapulted into starting in the Prem every week. He's played for England. He's gone to Euros. there's obviously something there. He has a groin issue or something like that, and they're trying to manage him through it. I would rest him for Everton. I know this is people are going to come at me and cuss me for this, etc., etc. I would honestly rest him for Everton and give the lad the opportunity just to get himself going. There's a game against Liverpool after that, and then there's an international break. Listen, you need Wharton for the entire season. If he misses 1, 2, 3 games, it's not the end of the world, right? We've got depth in the squad that can cover, etc., etc. So yeah, I would genuinely consider resting Adam Wharton and wrapping him up in cotton wool and taking proper good care of him, because he is an absolute diamond of a player when fit.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't rest him against Everton if we need to, but maybe against Liverpool.
You're risking, but like Everton are a battering ram of a team. You're risking him getting seriously injured.
But Everton's a massive game, Stan. If there's a game I'd rather Wharton play is against Everton than Liverpool. That's how I see it. I mean, who are we more likely to beat, Everton or Liverpool?
I would potentially rest him for 2 games, mate. I would. I'm sorry, I would.
Well, fair enough. And Demi agrees with you as well. Look, if he's not fit enough, then yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no other option. But if we're talking about just resting him, just to get him, let's say he's 80% fit and trying to get him to 100% fitness, I would rather use the Liverpool game than Everton game. I would, and I think that's the thinking. But let's see what happens. But look, people, we are going to wrap up now. If you have enjoyed the stream, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks to all of you for your comments and for calling into the show. Really appreciate you all. Sorry if I couldn't read out every comment. As you can see, there's a lot of comments that's been coming throughout the show. But if you do have any comments or questions that you want answered, leave them in the comment section down below after the video ends. That's it from me and Stan. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.